AJ here. Today, we are going to make a sweet potato pie. Why are we doing this? Well, 1, it's Thanksgiving. 2, it's delicious. And 3, it's so simple, even I can make it. So you're really gonna like this sweet potato pie. If you've never had sweet potato pie, by the way, it's basically, imagine a pumpkin pie, but even better. That's what I want you to, but imagine, stop for a moment and really get in the zone. Like imagine that pumpkin pie and you're like, oh, this is pretty good. Now imagine it better. That's what the sweet potato pie is. So we're gonna be making this. I've actually been making the sweet potato pie for years. My wife and I love eating it. And for a while I would kind of just whip it up as like a little snack because it's very low in sugar. Actually, this one is only made with agave syrup or honey if you eat honey. And it's vegan, gluten-free, but it's really good. Like you can give it to people, they won't know it's like a healthier treat. So let's get into making some paleo. Let's get into making some, I guess it is a paleo and vegan and gluten-free sweet potato pie, but don't go away. It's good. I promise it's good. Okay. So I'll see you. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so step 1 is we're gonna make the crust first. And actually, I would say step one is you're gonna roast your sweet potatoes. So you could do this with pureed sweet potatoes, and really you could do this with pumpkin, like canned, but it's way better if you roast the sweet potatoes to the point where I pretty much won't make it unless it's with roasted sweet potatoes because everything else just kind of pales in comparison. So if you want to roast the sweet potatoes, I would throw your oven at 425, throw about a pound of sweet potatoes in there and give it like 50 minutes to an hour. You really want them to get super mushy and soft. And it gets actually a little bit sweeter when you cook it like that. So that's what I would say is your first step, but optionally you could use canned sweet potato. All right, step 2 is make your flax egg. So what's a flax egg? Good question. I'm really glad you asked. Flax egg is 1 tablespoon of ground flax meal and 3 tablespoons of water. And you can use this in many recipes to substitute out eggs if you're allergic or you don't want to eat them. It works really, really well for that, and it kind of does everything you want for the binding. It gets nice and gloopy just like an egg, and so it works like an egg. So you're going to need, I would prepare them separately because you're going to need 1 of the fake eggs. Fake eggs? Yes, it is a fake egg. It's hair. All right.
Maybe you should put a hat on.
Yeah, throw me a hat. Make 1, so you're gonna prepare these flax eggs, and you want them separate because 1 of the flax eggs is gonna go into your crust and the other one is gonna go into the sweet potato filling. So it's kind of 2 parts of this recipe, and if you click the link below, it'll take you to my website and you can have the whole recipe for yourself. Because there was a time my wife and I would eat this like weekly for dessert all the time. It was just, we were obsessed with it. And so I found that the almond flour works the best. The blanched is going to make it look more normal, but it doesn't really have to be. So you want 2 cups of almond flour in a big old mixing bowl. Okay, so you have your almond flour. You're going to sprinkle in about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All right, next we're gonna throw in 2 tablespoons of vegan butter. You could do this with coconut oil as well if you'd like. It works really good with coconut oil. I've been doing it with vegan butter because it gives you the buttery flavor that you want from a pie. Then you're gonna throw a tablespoon of water, flax egg. You'll see how gloopy, look at how gloopy that is. I'm gonna wash my hands again, even though I know they're clean. And then I'm gonna start really working this with my hands. And really, get your hands in there. You want it to feel real gross. Like you want to be upset about it. Like, you see how unhappy? You see this face? I look like the green girl from Inside Out. And because this is not a traditional pie crust, usually you're trying to keep everything super cold. That's not what we're doing with this one. Don't get too hung up on your crust, on cutting in buttered cubes and keeping it super cold, because that's not the vibe we're going for with this one. We're getting a little bit of the butter flavor from the vegan butter, from the Miyoko's, but aside from that, we're going more for a graham crackery, almondy, like we're leaning into the flavor it already has. You're gonna like it, I promise. I promise you're gonna like it. Just make it. Just do it right now. Go to your kitchen, bring your phone or computer with you, There's an 80% chance you're on your phone. And just make it with me. Okay, so I have my ball, my dough that is nice and kneaded and mixed. I have a 9-inch pie glass here, and then I like to use the back of a measuring cup to help flatten this into the pie crust. So we got this here. We have our dough. I'm pressing it down from the middle, and we're working out. And this is an oddly satisfying, like one of these things that is gonna look really nice to you as you're doing it, and you might just get lost. You might forget you were supposed to be making a pie. All right, so we have our pie crust here. Pretty easy peasy. And all you would do from here is take a little fork, poke it. Now, make sure you don't skip this step, because if you do, what's gonna happen is this thing's gonna bubble up and you're gonna have a hard time with that crust. It could fall apart or something like that. So go ahead and poke a few holes in it, and you're gonna throw it in to your oven at 350 for 10 minutes. And then while it's in there for the 10 minutes, we're gonna make the filling with our roasted sweet potatoes and the spices and everything good. Everything you wanna eat, that's coming next. So this, you go in the oven for 10 minutes, and while it's in there, we're gonna make our pie filling. All right, so we have our pie crust out and cooling, not on the windowsill, but that would be appropriate if you wanted to do that. And then while that is cooling down a little bit, we're gonna start making our filling. Now with this filling, there's kind of two ways you can go about doing it. You can do it with a hand mixer or stand mixer, but I actually started doing it with a blender a long time ago. And I know I do a lot of things with blenders on this channel, on this blog, wherever you're watching this, but they're just so handy. Like, they're just so much handier than busting out a machine. Like, it all goes in here. And for this, it really makes sense because you want a smooth, creamy pie filling. So we're gonna use the blender to make this pie filling right now. So I've got my Vitamix here, but you could use anything, right? You could use, everything's normal. Okay, you could use anything here. You could use your stand mixer, or you could use a hand mixer, or if you're really strong, you technically could use your hand, like you could whisk it, but I wouldn't advise that. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna need is about a pound of sweet potato. So I'm gonna throw that in actually first. If you're wondering how many sweet potatoes that is, sweet potatoes come in all shapes and sizes. You need to weigh them. And the small ones, they're just as good as the big ones. The big ones aren't worse or better. They're just different, just like all of us. Okay, so we got our pound of sweet potato in there, and we're gonna add about a half a cup of either almond milk, oat milk, any of the milks would work. I'm gonna do almond because the crust is almond, so I want it to matchy match. Now, first things first, let's puree these sweet potatoes down and make sure that they're nice and broken up. Yeah, and this probably goes without saying, but in case I didn't say it, obviously you don't want the skins of the sweet potato in this. All right, I'm gonna say that's broken down enough for right now. Next we're gonna add is a half a cup of melted vegan butter. This could also be coconut oil, and I've done it with both, and they're both good. I've also done it with real butter back when I ate real butter, and that works really good too. If you're gonna use real butter, try to get it from somebody nice. So we're gonna add the half a cup of vegan butter. We're gonna add 2 flax eggs, and or it's 2 tablespoons of flax with 6 tablespoons of water. Let me grab a little spatula. And you're gonna see it's nice and gloopy. The next thing you're gonna want is about a half a cup of agave, blue agave, or any agave really. Then we're gonna throw a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. We're gonna blend these up, and then we're gonna add the spices, and then we're gonna put it all together, and our pie is gonna be done. It's gotta hang out in the oven for a while, but besides that, it's gonna be good to go. All right, so we've got this blended up. It looks awesome. Look at that. I mean, you could kind of just eat this and it tastes good. Also, because it's vegan, feel free to taste test it while you're adding ingredients. If you're like, I wish it was a little bit more vanilla-y, I wish it was a little sweeter, I'll maybe need some salt, or when it comes to your spice blend that we're gonna add, feel free to adjust it to your preferences. So the spice blend I'm gonna use is 4 spices. It's cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cardamom. And I always add it after because what we want it to get evenly distributed. And I know a blender is gonna blend it all anyway. Like, how big is the difference? It's probably mostly in my head. But again, if you're making this for somebody, you wanna make it with some love. Like, I'm making this for my family, and I really want them to enjoy it. So I'm trying to put just a little bit more extra time into it. So then you just throw this in the blender one more time for, you know, a minute on high. All right, and there we go. So I'm gonna give this a little taste test. I'm gonna grab my pie crust. I'm gonna put this together, and then we gotta, yeah. So I'll see you when we got the pie crust so that we can bring this all together and throw it in the oven. All right, so we've got our sweet potato filling. We've got it added into our pie crust. Now, you might have extra sweet potato filling because if you're like me, you didn't use the measurements that I gave you. You just threw a bunch in. So I have enough here probably for a second pie or maybe mini pies. So we'll see what that ends up being, but this is what this looks like. It's still pretty warm, but it looks pretty cute, right? We're gonna take this, throw it in the oven. It's at 350 still, unconventional, for about an hour, and you can check it at 15 minutes, and you should be able to, same rules with a fork, you should be able to stick a fork in and it's nice and clean, and it shouldn't look like pudding. And then once that's done, we can cut up a nice piece, top it with some coconut whipped cream, and start chomping. So I'll see you in an hour. All right, so we are back. It's the next day. See, I'm in a new shirt. And the pie basically came out pretty much like I expected it to. We pulled it out after about an hour, and then we put it in the fridge. We let it chill overnight. And here we have it. And I'm gonna have my fairy wife come taste it in just a sec here. I've already got it nice and dressed up. It looks cute. You can see the whipped cream's a little bit melting. And all I did was sprinkle it with some nutmeg. And one tip is you can see it's a little like blacker than we want on the top. Now, if you want to avoid that, because I'll actually cut in a picture of my pie here. The pie is not burned, but it looks a little bit blacker because I didn't cover it. So if you want it to look real super cute so that you can impress everyone and then win friends, influence people, and move to the hill, you can cover that pie with tin foil to prevent it from burning. So that's what I would tell you to do if you don't want that black brown part on the top of the pie. So now I'm gonna have my fairy wife come in and give this a taste.
It's cute.
Okay.
I'm excited.
You're excited.
It's been like a long time.
Like a year.
Since we've had this.
Yeah. I used to make it all the time, remember? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't taste burned at all. No, so it's a little blackened on top just because I didn't cover it, but yeah.
But having had it like a lot of times, I would definitely say the refrigerator part is really important. Like getting to refrigerate it overnight makes all the difference. Yeah, you have to chill it. Yeah, it's like a pumpkin pie. Like you're not gonna eat it straight out the oven. Right. It's not good. So okay, cool. It's so good.
How many? Scale 1 to 10. It's a 10.
It should be on your Thanksgiving list.
It should be on the Thanksgiving list.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I took a taste test just to make sure it came out okay, and I ate the whole piece. I'll see you in a little bit. Well, there you have it. 10 out of 10. Definitely should be on your Thanksgiving list. Definitely make it. There it go. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. If you got this far, hey, maybe smush like. Maybe subscribe, and that way you'll never miss another video. Comment down below if you try this, or tag me at Rivera if you make this. I am positive you're gonna love this. I've literally had this pie dozens and dozens of times, and this one might be the best one I've ever made yet. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.